excuse whatsoever why we should not address this matter as quickly as possible, so that then we restore the constitutional rights to representation for those citizens in those areas that were affected. So on this particular matter of by-elections, we will be briefing the country, and of course through you, members of the fourth estate, on the details, including the timelines that we are looking at. So that we will do as we proceed forward from next week and in the weeks and months to come. Our second area of priority is voter registration and updating of the voters register, or the register of voters. Over the past 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, Iebc has taken note of the sustained demand, particularly from Kenya's youth and the political class, on the resumption of voter registration and updating of the register of voters. These calls are driven largely by a new generation of voters eager to participate in the democratic processes of this country in accordance with the Constitution. Therefore, this reflection of this powerful civic momentum will deliberately be realized once we embark on this critical process of voter registration and updating of our voter register. Indeed, we hear the voices of young Kenyans demanding the opportunity to be counted and to be actively involved in these democratic processes of rebuilding our country, Kenya. In that regard, Iebc has been laying, from the work of our Secretariat and now the full commission constituted, has been laying the groundwork for the resumption of voter registration to ensure that no voice or no voices are left out. In line with our constitutional mandate, therefore, we reaffirm that the credibility of any elections depends heavily on the accuracy and integrity of the voter register. A clean and inclusive register is not merely administrative. It is the foundation of free, fair, and transparent elections. The Constitution under Article 88(4) A and B provides for the continuous voter registration of all eligible Kenyans and the regular revision of the register of voters. That's a constitutional mandate and requirement. The public and stakeholders are requested to note that the registration process, as provided for in law, was temporarily suspended through a gazette notice to pave way for the compilation of register of voters and the conduct of the 2022 general election. Afterwards, it became legally inappropriate or difficult to resume the voter registration process owing to the absence of the chairperson and members of the commission. It's a requirement that the commission duly constituted is the one that takes that decision to resume the registration of voters. So in our absence, therefore, the Secretariat could not do much other than to wait until when the commission is duly constituted, which we are now. The Iebc is currently finalizing internal processes, and we will, in the month of August, next month, 2025, announce via gazette notice the timelines for resumption of continuous voter registration to allow eligible citizens of Kenya to register as voters. The Commission therefore encourages continued civic engagement, and we pledge to keep all stakeholders informed as these developments unfold. So we'll share with you our plan once we approve and gazette it and communicate it again through the media. Our priority number 3 is targeted voter education and structured stakeholder engagement. One key lesson, ladies and gentlemen, from the 2022 general election is that voters and stakeholders yearn for more education and continued engagement in the entire electoral cycle. Additionally, most of observer missions of the 2022 general election recommended that Iebc needs to ensure electoral information is readily available to voters in all available formats and spaces. What this therefore means, ladies and gentlemen, is that when our voters are adequately informed, they will make informed choices at the booth while marking their ballots. This is not only the desire of the Commission or every other Kenyan, but it is a constitutional imperative. Article 88.4 G of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 mandates the Commission to conduct voter education. Therefore, it's a constitutional requirement. As a matter of priority, in a bid to enhance transparency in our processes, and therefore the Commission, this Commission, will amplify stakeholder engagements to appraise the public on all our programs, our plans, and our activities. And furthermore, we shall proactively conduct targeted voter education in all electoral areas. So it's our constitutional mandate to inform the public, to engage with the public in all the electoral areas and targeting all our categories of our voters, including the youth, people in marginalized areas, women, people living with disability, and all other categories of our voters. Number 4, priority number 4. This priority is on boundary delimitation. Taking into account the constitutional obligations pertaining to the review of our electoral boundaries, the Iebc wishes to update the public on the status of the delimitation process for constituencies and wards. Following a mandated timeline, which is outlined in Article 88.4C and Article 89 of the Constitution of Kenya, the Commission acknowledges the delays in our second boundary review. You know, after the enactment of the Constitution, we did the first boundary review, and we were due to undertake the second boundary review. And this second boundary review was due by 6th March 2024. So, unfortunately, there has been a delay which has been occasioned by the absence of the substantive commission. But now that the commission has been duly constituted, we would like to inform the country on the way forward on this matter of the Constitution. So, as I've mentioned to you, the second boundary review was supposed to have been concluded by concluded by 6th March 2024, which is this year, and those timelines have expired. But so while this process was being considered by the Commission Secretariat in the absence of the full Commission, some necessary steps were undertaken in order to address this matter in the light of the fact that the constitutional timelines were expiring or approaching to expire very fast. So what the Commission Secretariat did was to seek legal advice from the Office of the Attorney General. As you all know, the Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to the government, and therefore institutions such as Iebc, whenever faced with such a challenge, would essentially approach that office for legal guidance. And in our request for legal advisory, we requested that we be given advice on whether the Commission could proceed to conduct the boundaries delimitation despite the lapse of the constitutional timelines. We also sought advice on whether the lapsed timelines could be extended, if yes or no. So this is an advice that we are yet to receive. In fact, let me just correct it. Based on that request, the Office of the Attorney General requested that the Secretariat that time should seek legal interpretation and advice from the Supreme Court. So this matter was filed at the Supreme Court, and we are waiting for the Supreme Court to determine and to give us the legal advisory in this particular matter. And once we receive that legal advisory, we will work with other stakeholders, because it's an issue that requires consultation with various stakeholders, including Parliament, the political parties, and of course the citizens of Kenya, to see what is the best way possible to proceed with this matter once we get that legal guidance. And of course, any steps that we will take will be guided by that legal advisory, which we expect to receive any time going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kenyans, we would like also to brief you on our priority number 5, which is the legal reforms on elections. As you all know, we are also preparing for the 2027 general elections, and there are a number of legal issues, or a number of issues that will require legislative reforms, so for us to be able to move into the next electoral cycle with a sound legal and regulatory environment. The Iebc, therefore, underscores the pivotal role of a sound legal and regulatory environment in safeguarding the credibility, transparency, and efficiency of Kenya's electoral processes. In fulfillment of this constitutional mandate and strategic objectives, the Commission has, over time, undertaken a comprehensive review of the constitutional.
You missed the sports.
Of bills. As you all know, bills are legislative proposals. So we've made these proposals in the form of draft bills and draft regulations aimed at enhancing the legal architecture of elections in Kenya. These proposals have already been submitted to Parliament through the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the respective houses, that is the National Assembly and Senate. And the Parliament is the body that is mandated to consider these legislations and enact them, so that then we can be able to implement them in the next electoral cycle. So some of the proposals are touching on the Elections Act in terms of amendments to the Elections Act, the political parties amendments. We are also proposing some amendments in the election offences, just to strengthen that that law in that regard. We are also making proposals to other laws, including the County Governments Act, those that relate to elections, election campaign financing. We are also making some proposals on that. And we are making also some proposals on the referendum bill. So there are so many other regulations, which I may not read all of them. But again, we are also proposing specific regulations that will touch on our general elections, that will also address some of the gaps in our voter registration, in our voter education, the party elections, including elections of party lists and primaries, party primaries. We are also making proposals, as you all know, the next election technology will play a critical role. So we are also strengthening some regulations around our application of technology in the next election of 2027. So these are some of the legal reforms that we are proposing to Parliament, so that they can enact in time for us to be able to internalize and implement in the next coming electoral cycle. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as the Commission embarks on its roadmap for the 10th August elections, general elections in 2027, we wish to assure the public of the preparedness of the Commission to deliver inclusive, credible, transparent, and more importantly, peaceful elections in strict compliance with the Constitution of Kenya and all electoral laws. It's noteworthy that the fact that the successful execution of planned activities depends on timely and adequate funding. This is very important. We can only succeed if we have adequate resources that will enable us to deliver on our mandate on elections and other related activities around elections. Iebc, therefore, in that respect, will engage with the National Treasury and Parliament to secure the necessary resources on time to enable us get the necessary materials, the necessary funding for all the processes that are involved in time. So this is very critical because, as you've noticed maybe in the past, you have a situation where the Commission struggles with the financing, and sometimes by the time finances arrive, it's maybe too late, and it becomes very cumbersome and stressful for us to undertake those procurements on time, so that then we can have a smooth and seamless election processes. As I conclude, fellow Kenyans, a robust democracy relies on institutional integrity and active participation of all members of the public. The Commission therefore invites fellow citizens, other stakeholders including Parliament, media, yourselves, the civil society, and development partners to collaborate with us as we execute these priority tasks that will lead us to the final implementation of our general election management plan and other plans, including voter education, so that then together we can move the country forward in entrenching our democracy. I therefore thank you for coming, for your attention. May God bless Kenya, and may God bless us all. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you for... Okay, somebody take notes.
Can we go just one by one, since we don't have anywhere to write? Just one by one. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
What was that question about?
Well, thank you for that question. I think very important and critical at this juncture. We are beginning, of course, to witness some heightened political activities and engagements. You know, Kenya is a very vibrant country and society. But as a commission that has recently assumed office, from where we sit, we are not worried about those sentiments. In fact, we have issued a statement already, I think last week, to the effect that we are urging our politicians, and we are urging citizens, and we are urging all of us to desist from making any statements that are inflammatory, that are likely to impute improper motive to this commission. We have started our work, and we took oath of office, and we pledged ourselves to uphold the independence of the Iebc, the integrity and credibility of our elections, and we will stick to that oath and to our mandate. So we are not worried outside there, but we would like to appeal to all stakeholders. Let us calm down. Let us allow the commission to do its work. Let us do our political engagements while respecting our electoral management body, so that then all of us have to restore that public trust by desisting from activities or utterances that are likely to erode public confidence in this Iebc. Because we have already promised Kenyans that we will do our job independently, transparently, and accountably. And we'll be engaging with the citizens of this country in every process we do. So we are not really perturbed by that, but we would like to appeal to them not to put us in a very difficult situation. There was this gentleman, then we come to you. Asante sana, very important question. Nafikiri tumeona hapo awali kumekuwa na migawanyiko hapa na pale, makamishina wengine wanajiuzulu at that critical moment wakati wanahitajika wawe pamoja. Tumeona hayo mambo, lakini ningependa kuhakikishia Wakenya ya kwamba hii commission tumejadiliana sisi katika mkutano wetu wa kwanza, tumekubaliana tutakuwa pamoja tukitekeleza jukumu letu kulingana na katiba na sheria za nchi. Kwa hivyo hatutarajii kuwe na migawanyiko. So we assure you as fellow Kenyans that we will stick together because we came together and we pledged ourselves that we are going to serve this country, and united we will. Thank you. Gentlemen. Thank you very much. I know that's it's a very trending topic currently. I think I'm informed by the Secretariat we have around 4, but we have also had a lot of inquiry. You can see what's going on online. Kenyans are actively discussing this subject of recall. So we currently have roughly 4. We will look at them once we go back to the office. So going forward, of course, it's the right of every Kenyan to exercise that right of recall under the Constitution. And as Iebc, we will be there to do that which we can or which the law allows us. We will receive those petitions, we will examine them, and then we will, of course, respond to them accordingly. Thank you. This and then. Okay. Which one?
The name and media of that media house.
Please, the media house. So you asked. Okay, regarding the by-election, I think I've said this is. I've stated that this is a priority matter because, as you've noticed, 2 years plus have already gone. Some constituencies like Banisa in northeastern, I think it's close to 3 years without their member of parliament, and others, of course, as recent as the last couple of months. So we are giving it priority. Normally, when a vacancy happens, the Speaker of the Assembly or Senate, in respect of those ones at Parliament level, or the Speaker of the County Assembly, is notified. And once they certify that there is a vacancy, then they will write to the Commission. They will issue something called a writ. So through that, we will be able to confirm that there is a vacancy, and therefore we need, as a Commission, to conduct the by-election. So in this case, when looking at the timelines, once we receive the new writs, because writs normally expire within 90 days. So, and I've seen in a section of the media this matter being discussed, but it's nothing strange. So once those writs that expired have been reissued, then it gives us a window of about 90 days. So about 3 months, within which to execute our plan to hold those by-elections and to conclude with them. So you can compute and estimate by which month we are talking about. But as I mentioned earlier, once we reach that stage where we gazette now that we shall conduct by-elections on this date, we will be able to call you to brief the nation again through you. The matter of recall,
The budget, you have budget for it. Normally you have budget.
for by-elections, we have the budget. And I think I mentioned that in my comment, that the Secretariat have been working with Parliament and Treasury, so there is a budget for that, for the 23 vacancies. For recall, it will depend on whether those petitions are also successful, and how many are they, and whether there's whatever steps that we are required to undertake. Then we will look from within and see if there's a budget. If not, then we can engage with the Parliament to allocate us budget for that. But for now, we cannot speak authoritatively on the issue of recall because we are yet to see those petitions. Yeah. Yes.
Samahani kaka, tuomba jina lako na otokapi.
People.
People.
I think on the issue of campaign financing, there is a substantive law. Of course, it's a constitutional requirement that we need to regulate campaign financing for obvious reasons, that we need to create a level playing field, and therefore that calls upon us as a country to regulate the manner in which political parties and individual politicians deploy their resources, so that then we have a level playing field between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. So the law has been established, has been enacted. The Election Financing, the Campaign Financing Act. What we are left with is the regulations. The last time I'm reliably informed by the Secretariat, you need regulations to operationalize the law. So we have had a bit of problems with the regulations. And the last time the court advised Iebc to subject those regulations to public participation, so that then when we take it back to Parliament, it is enacted after a consultative process. You know, our Constitution is very clear on public participation in anything that we do, and more particularly a sensitive law like that one. So that is the process that we'll be undertaking in the next few months, and then we can be able now to discuss with stakeholders, with Kenyan citizens, and once we agree, then we can be able to table them in Parliament for approval, and once it's approved, it's our role to implement the law as it is on campaign finance regulation. Thank you.
Anthony?
Kitimo. I didn't get that question when you were talking to me. Excuse me, just repeat
the question.
because I was distracted a bit. Well, thank you for that question. I think we are, as you are aware, we are barely 4 days in office. So, and there's a lot of information to learn and to understand and to be able to make decisions on. So, the elections budget is one area that we will look at as the new commission. And we will look at, we will sit with the Secretariat to look at the various proposals. We cannot comment now authoritatively on whether we will be reducing the budget or asking for more. But once we interact with it, then we will know the specific items. We will look at those considerations and then be able to to arrive at a reasonable budget that will allow us to conduct a decent election, because I know there's a lot of expectations. Kenyans would expect us to deploy the best new cutting-edge technology, which will have cost implications and many other expectations. So we look at the budget vis-a-vis the expectations of Kenyans for what kind of election they want to see in 2027. So give us time, we will again update you on that. Yeah. The 4 constituencies, I think you will consult with our CEO Marjan and the Secretariat. They will be able to give you the specific, can share with you that information. There was a gentleman here, and I think
Kaka.
Yeah, TV vote 7, yes.
How will it affect the preparation?
Yes. You see, we need to look at the budget vis-a-vis, as I've said, vis-a-vis the priorities and the kind of election we want to see, that Kenyans want to see. Remember, election is not for Iebc. We are instruments. We are here to facilitate Kenyans to have the best election ever. So taking into account what Kenyans want, the kind of elections they want, the kind of technology they want to use, the seamlessness of our processes, all that will have budgetary implications. Voter education, we need resources to be able to reach out to as many Kenyans as possible. Registration alone will require some elements, some heavy logistics for us to move to as far as possible to be able to register eligible Kenyans. I spoke about technology. Of course, technology, the result transmission, which is an area of interest. So we want as a new commission to commit that we will improve on all the processes. So we look at all those processes and see what are the budgetary implications, and therefore we're able to arrive at an optimum budget. Then from there, of course, we will negotiate with the People's Representatives Parliament to see what they can allocate us. But we will also, once we are clear in our minds how much we need, we will also approach other partners, development partners, to people of goodwill, to see if they can also help us subsidize some of the costs or support us in some aspects, so that then together we can have the best election in 2027. So again, we will balance against all other needs. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mandy. I think that's a very important question. As you know, the country delayed in. Can we sort out that so that we can listen to one another? The delay in what? I'll say the delay.
The delay in our constitution.
The
That's
reforms.
coming. Will it affect our performance?
Okay.
And the reforms, the legal reforms.
Okay, let me answer that question. Hopefully it will be the last, because my throat is getting a bit dry. And being the first one, munihurumie tu, so that then the next one we can arrange properly and have more time. In regard to the delays, you know, we all know the country delayed in constituting the commission. And then you realize that it is the commission that transacts most of the business of our elections. But be it as it is, we have to accept the reality, we have to face them, and ourselves, we know we have to work extra hours. You've seen this weekend, we are working, we don't have time off. So we will try what is humanly possible on our part. But more importantly, we also require the support of, let's say, Treasury, Parliament, and other key stakeholders to give us that support so that within the limited timelines, we can be able to execute our priorities and agenda and activities within the shortest time possible. So we will try hard to do that which we can and which we must as a commission to meet those constitutional timelines. So I think I must thank you, members of the media. You are our partners. We've been told so much about the deficit, the trust deficit in our electoral processes, the low levels of confidence, which I'm told now have gone a bit up. But more importantly, I would like to really emphasize the role the media plays in our electoral processes. Our wish is that you become that partner to us as we work together in this, because it's our country. You don't live in another country, you don't transition to another country in the evening and then come here for work. You work here and you live here. So as media, my appeal as a new chairman of this commission and together with my colleagues, we would like to see you as our day-to-day partners. Therefore, help us to restore that confidence, to restore that trust in our elections and in our electoral processes. Help us counter misinformation and disinformation. Help us fight fake news that are trying to drive a certain narrative across the country and to some segments of Kenya. So we need you. You are so powerful enough to change the narrative from negativity to positivity. So that is our humble appeal. Give us time. If we make mistake, please criticize us based on facts. But best case scenario, before you criticize, just come to my office or the vice chair and meet any one of us you are comfortable with and ask those hard questions. Why are you doing this and that? So that then we give you the facts. Where necessary, we will apologize to the country if we have made some mistakes. But where we've done also well, please be there for us. But more importantly, be here for your country. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.